Hey, everybody, it's Wanetah and Jason, and today we are coming at you with a very important update on our Rank and Rent website. We have some fun, interesting happenings to share with you. So, if you remember clearly, it is our Katie Concrete Service website, and we're super excited to tell you all about it. So, without further ado, Jason, take it away.
Awesome. I am excited to share this. It's something I've wanted to do for many years is build one of these sites. I've always understood the concept. So if you don't know, I'll just describe it in 60 seconds or less. Basically, we're finding a niche in a certain city. So in this case, concrete. And we're picking a city that's close to us, Katy, Texas. And we found that there wasn't a ton of competition in the Google rankings for local businesses there. So we are building a site with High Level, and then as that site is ranked on Google, we will then start getting leads and renting it out. That's the overall concept. We own the asset. So we always own that domain as long as we pay for the maintenance every year. And we can rent this out to a business owner for 500 bucks a month, 1,000 bucks a month, whatever we can end up getting for that site. But we own the site. So if they ever stop paying, we just, similar to a physical property that would be a rental property, we find a new business owner and rent the site out. Now, what does renting out mean? Basically, it means that every lead that comes through that site will go to that business owner. So there are some methods that people do that is like a pay per lead type model where every lead comes in, you charge the business owner 50 bucks or 30 bucks or whatever you can get for it. But I don't personally like that model because then we have to argue every month over what is a lead, what isn't a lead. This person didn't answer. I don't want to get into the maintenance of that, right? We just want to rent the site out. They get every lead, good or bad, and we call it a day and collect our rental payment every month.
Yep, easy. Long
Exactly.
lasting tenant.
Exactly. So I'll show you the site first, and then I'll show you some results that we've been getting. We're about a month in with the site, maybe a little less, and we've already started getting some traffic. We started getting some leads, so I'll talk to you about that and my experience with what we're doing here. But this is our case study site, so please don't fill out the forms or call the number or anything. We'll happily talk about what we're doing on here. But this is basically the site is all done in High Level. You can watch our series that we've done on how we got to this point of building the site. But now, within a few short weeks, we're already starting to rank on Google. So we need to build out a ton of pages on here that talk about different categories. This is going to be important in a moment. You can see decorative and stamped concrete. You'll see pool decks, garage floors, concrete driveways. So this will be important in a moment. But let me show you just some of the traffic that we've been getting so far, because I see a lot of people that talk about sites that are on Google that are built in High Level that don't rank. And if you have some low competition in the area, meaning that, and we've talked about this in some of our build bit videos, you're finding a lot of search terms like Katy Concrete that don't have a ton of other businesses that are ranking there. You're going to find a mixture of like Angie's List and Thumbtack and that kind of thing. If all of those are taking up the first several spots on Google, then it's likely that there isn't a local presence that is powerful enough to outrank them. So we'll talk more about SEO and kind of that search stuff in future videos, but I just want to show you some traffic we're getting. So in the past 2 weeks or so, let me see here. Past 2 weeks or so, we've gotten 14 clicks so far. Says 3 months, but let's just narrow this down to the last 28 days to see when we got our first bit of traffic. So we've got 11 clicks in the last month, and then two or three clicks prior to that. So clicks to the website doesn't mean anything other than we're getting people finding us on Google and they're landing on our site. But now, are we converting those people? So in the time that we've had this up, we've gotten 2 leads so far. So I'm going to walk you through what those leads look like, what they said, and then how I fumbled the first one and what we're doing to rectify some of this stuff. So the first one, let me see. No, this one. So this lead came in like almost a few days after we got the site up and started getting it ranked. And I didn't even know that we would get leads that quickly. So I didn't have all of our tracking set up. I didn't even realize that this lead came in until looks like 7 days later. So you can see it, and there's no name or anything on here, so I can show you this fully. Looking for concrete repairs, striping at commercial multifamily property in Katy, Texas. Please email for additional info and scope. So I messaged them. Hi, Mason. It's Jason from Katy Concrete Service. We noticed our online form notifications were not working. So we missed it when you filled out our form. We're very sorry about that. Did you already get your concrete repair striping done? He said, hello, no, in the bidding process, please email for additional details and scope, which I did. And then I never heard back from him. I've tried calling a few times, but I haven't gotten him. So it was definitely a speed to lead issue, which is a very common thing that a lot of other business owners are fault of as well, which we've talked about on our channel, right, Juanita?
Yep.
So another thing I want to show you here, what's great about high level sites and why I like this, and you can do this with other services too, but it just makes it really easy on this dashboard, is we can see where they landed, right? So this guy discovered us on the concrete parking lot site. So that particular page on our site is ranking on Google for this term. You can see organic search. So he that's the only site he ever landed on and filled out our contact form there.
So, Jason,
So
have you typed in like Katy concrete parking lots or parking lot concrete in Katy and seen where we rank?
I've looked at that, but you can also get a better idea from Google's tool themselves. This is called the Gurgle, the Google Search Console. And you can see some of the terms that we're ranking for here. There's other trackers and things that are paid, but this is a free service that Google offers. But you can see what position. Let me see if I can find it. Average search position. So if you click on that, it will tell you what position on Google. 1 means number 1, and then 49 means 49th down, which is pretty far down. So
Okay.
what's interesting is I don't find that we're ranking number 1 or even close to number 1 on any of these things, but somehow people are still discovering our site and landing on it. So I don't know how
Yeah.
accurate this stuff is. So let's see. What was that was for what was it? Driveway?
That was a parking lot? Didn't it say
Let's see.
parking lot or
Parking lots. Yep. So let's see if we see that on any of this. Let me go back to parking lot.
maybe what about like Katy concrete parking lot? Concrete for parking lot, and then is it something like near me? Stamped concrete near me?
Yeah, I don't know. This is all that it's showing. So it's an ever changing thing. Like you'll even see on our rankings, we're fluctuating because we're early on Google. They do what's
Right.
called the Google dance, your first, I don't know what it is, 90 days or so. You're going to be fluctuating a lot in the search. And always you're going to be fluctuating, but it seems like in the early days you fluctuate a lot more. So you might be really high one day, like position 42, then you're down to position 71 on average. So
Hmm.
who knows where we'll shake out, and we're obviously going to add more pages, and we'll talk more about how we're building this up in future videos, but I just wanted to give you that perspective. So I totally fumbled that lead, and we're going to still keep reaching out to them with high level, but it's great that early on we got a lead, right?
Yeah, and
Next.
it's great that somehow this is working and we don't even know how, like, we don't know how people are finding us yet,
Right.
but that
And I
work
do
is
want
still amounted to something.
Absolutely. And I do want to say, as you guys watch this, I don't profess to be an SEO expert or even a rank and rent expert. We're learning this as we go. I do know the concept. I understand it. I've ranked sites long time ago in the past, but everything is always changing. So some of you may be experts in this field and you'll go out and crush it with this seed of knowledge. And we'll keep getting better and better as we go too. So just want to put that disclaimer. So here's another lead that we got March 8th. They went to decorative stamped concrete, so they landed on that page, which I did see that one on our
Mhm.
tracker.
Yeah,
Let's see.
near me or something as well.
Number 19. And one thing you'll notice too is there are different variations of these terms. So there's stamped concrete, Katy, Texas. There's probably just Katy stamped concrete. We'll find a couple others as well. But there's a lot of different ways that people can find you once you start ranking. Stamped concrete patio with hot tub. Interesting.
Stamped concrete is hot.
Stamped concrete walkway near me. That's 9. So that is we're in the top 10 there, which is good. Cool. So that lead came in. It said landscape border for entrance of a community similar to curb, but stamped and tinted to match the monument brick. I have no idea what any of this means other than I think it's well, after researching this person, they work for an HOA company, so looks like it's the entrance to a community and the big like pillar signs that you see as you enter a community. It's something to do with
Mhm.
that.
Right.
I did make 2 outbound calls to this person, left a message. I've also sent an email. I haven't heard back from this one either, but this is a newer lead that I'm gonna continue to follow up on. So we can see
This
that. Go ahead.
this makes sense now why the stamped concrete is such a hot topic because of all the subdivisions here and so much development. So
Mhm.
we need to this is a clear sign that we need to do even more with stamped concrete.
Yep. And so how we would do that is we would add more blog posts, we would add different variations of that type of page, like how much does concrete cost? What are different stamped concrete designs? Like those could all be blog posts that support the main page that we have.
And should we do a video?
Yeah, we should definitely do a video as we make those. Oh, you mean create a video about stamped
Yeah,
concrete?
about stamped concrete
Yeah, we could totally
for
do that.
people
We
to
could get
find it
some.
on
Mhm.
YouTube and through our
Yeah.
site.
So what we would do is we would
Look out for
create
our new
a
channel.
Katie Concrete. No, that's actually a way that people go about this is building out entire social profiles for the site. So a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, Instagram account, all that stuff, and just put their content that drives people back to these. So
Awesome.
with this lead in particular, because this was hot, I came right in and I called her within an hour of getting the lead. Let's see. You can see we got the form fill at 8:56, and we were on the road at the time, so 9:57, so I missed it by 1 minute. But within an hour and 1 minute, I called her and didn't get her. But I did use this as a leverage tool to go out and start reaching out to concrete businesses in the area. So what I did is I went on Google and I also went into several Facebook groups that are either real estate investor groups or local like business owner groups in the area and just posted I need a concrete contractor in Katy ASAP. Please let me know who you recommend. And then I started getting tons and tons of inbound messages. So I started reaching out to those people, got a couple people on the phone. Basically, my pitch was we're getting a lot of concrete jobs. We don't do concrete jobs, but I want to send some free leads over to you. And then the ultimate goal is if you get some business out of that and you want to keep getting those leads, we can talk about you getting all the leads from our site for a monthly fee, a flat monthly fee. And both of the people that I talked to so far said they would definitely be open to that. So that's where we are in this stage. But it's encouraging that we're getting leads already and that business owners are receptive to this. I'm sure there's going to be another whole layer of interesting conversations and complications as we get into that dance of once I've given them a few leads, then them actually paying for them. But we'll walk you through all that as we get it. That is that. Any questions on that part?
No, not no. I have questions as far as doing the dance whenever they I'm just assuming that the way we do business would be that they would pay ahead of time, right?
Yeah, so the way it works is we would typically, what I've seen from several of the groups that I'm in and other people that are doing this model is that they give out two, three, four leads, and then they jump on a Zoom call and they say, did you get any closed deals out of that? Or you can typically see inside the dashboard if there's communication and things back and forth. But then did you get any business out of that? Yes or no? If yes, then okay, great. We get usually 15 to 20, 30 jobs a month from this site. We'd love to send all of them to you because right now you're paying for Google ads or you're paying for Angie's List or you're paying for some other service that when people fill out that form, that lead is going to 10 different concrete contractors. You're going to be the exclusive only person that gets the leads from this site. And for that, we will give you that for $1,000 a month and see where that goes. So yes, they would pay upfront and then start getting the leads every single month. If they ever stop paying, then we cut off their leads and turn that over to somebody else and do the same process again.
And what does that look like? Let's just say, just planning for the worst, right? Not expecting it or anything. But if you did have to kick out a tenant,
Mhm.
how easy is that? What's the
So
process?
that's the best part. In high level, we have a phone routing system, right? So we have a tracking number that is this Katy Concrete site. But as people call that, right now we can point it to where it rings to. So people call that number, but it rings to our cell phone numbers right now. But then I would put a business owner's direct line. So it just they don't experience anything different. Their phone just rings and it might even have a little whisper message saying, new lead from Katie Concrete Service, and they press one to connect, and that business owner gets it. But if, to answer your question, if they ever stop paying, I just find another business owner and put their phone number in that place, and then immediately they start getting those leads instead of the original business owner.
Okay, but, like, in the interim, do you just put the phone number back to our number
Right. So I would
so that we
do
can
our
field the
number again.
calls and then do the
Yep.
same dance with somebody else?
And then
Okay.
exactly. And then to
Right.
answer those calls, typically, because I'm not a concrete expert, I just position myself as like a secretary
Receptionist?
or a receptionist or something, just saying, "Hey, I'm going to get the few basics of what you need, and then I'm going to connect you with one of our concrete experts in just a moment." And then I
Okay.
just start getting on the phone and trying to pass that lead out as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So it's a pretty easy model to kick out a tenant and move it over like a physical rental property. You got to go through an eviction process and all kinds of stuff. We literally just swap a phone number and we're on to a new client.
Bye. Alright.
Yes. So that's that. Now, as this started working, we're going to continue to build this site up. But we also came across an opportunity I wanted to talk to you guys about that might open your eyes to another avenue to do this as well. So I am a part of several different website groups, like people that build websites, people that do rank and rent, people that build websites for clients, like SEO type of groups. So I just joined a bunch of Facebook groups and I stumbled across somebody that had a concrete site in a different city that was offering to sell it because he's in another country and needed some cash. And so I do want to have a disclaimer, do this at your own risk. I don't want to have any feelings of if you get scammed or anything, like do your due diligence, like look into the site, make
Yeah.
sure the person actually owns it, all those things.
Yeah.
Sure you feel comfortable and don't risk anything that you can't fully say, okay, if totally get scammed on this, I'm just going to take it as a lesson learned. So,
Yeah, this is our said every YouTuber, right, in the universe. Like, we are telling you what we are doing, not what you should do, okay? This is just listen to our story and our experience. That's
right.
all. That's all this is.
Exactly. But with that, we did find somebody that was selling a site. I did my own due diligence. I looked on Google. I looked at their profile to see what other things they post, see how much they've contributed to the particular group I was in. And I got a good feeling for them. And I ultimately jumped on a Zoom call with them to talk about the site. Now, the site, I was able to negotiate down. He was originally selling it for $1,000 and I negotiated it down to 200 bucks for 220 bucks. And basically, it's a package of three sites that I wanted to break up into payments so I could minimize our risk if we totally got scammed, and also just to see what the transfer process was like for each of those sites. So we agreed to do basically $200 a site for three sites that he has. Two of them are concrete. One's in the piano moving space, which is an interesting space. That'll be the last one we buy if we ultimately do buy it. But the two concrete sites, I wanted to just learn from his site because it was ranking quite well and also see what other search terms he was getting and what kind of traffic and all that kind of stuff. So just felt that it was a minimal risk if we bought the site and it was total trash that we were out 200 bucks. But if it was a good site, then we could learn a lot for this site and future sites. So that was a lot of sites in that speech. But we ultimately ended up buying it. So I'm not going to reveal that site. That's going to be something private for our collection, but I will talk to you about the site and its growth and things. So I'll show you a few screenshots here. This is just a site showing we ended up paying $220 for it because I was going to charge him a $10, 10% transaction fee on the site that he had it listed. So I just offered to pay that extra 20 bucks so that he didn't lose out on that. So that he offered to do it outside of the service that he had it listed on, but I felt for safety for us and just ease of transfer that we bought it. And that was through just one of the big hosting sites like a GoDaddy, but it wasn't that. It was a different site. I can't remember. So we bought it for 220. He was great. He delivered it on time, worked a little extra to give me a few other logins and things that I needed. Here's the traffic of that site in the last month so far. 17 clicks. There's a couple leads we've gotten so far. They were actually spam like form fills. It was like people pitching their service and things. So not quite sure. But this site is built on WordPress right now. So I've used WordPress in the past. A lot of people, if you've ever had a site, you probably are familiar with what WordPress is. But we're going to be moving this site over to HighLevel. So I'm going to be rebuilding. There's only 3 or 4 pages right now on the site, which is great. And it's already ranking quite well. So I'm going to duplicate those pages exactly into HighLevel and then build the site out there so I can control more of the leads and all of that stuff.
And so, Jason, why would you move a site built on WordPress over to High Level?
Great question. It's probably not the brightest idea in that it's already ranking, it's already doing well. So it's a possibility that I could rock the boat and by rebuilding the pages, it may come crashing down. But I'm willing to take the risk because I like having all of our sites in HighLevel so I can control all of the lead flow really easily. I can set up forms and route phone numbers and all that stuff a lot easier. And I found that I am getting a lot more spam stuff on WordPress-based sites personally. So I'm going to see if maybe High Level counteracts that somehow.
Would
So
you even be able to track leads coming in and all of that through a WordPress site without High
yeah,
Level?
you can. Yeah, you can do that with different analytics things. But I personally want to build this little digital empire on High Level just to prove that it can be done and for ease of use of us because I can switch back and forth between each of my sub accounts really easily and log into the Katie Concrete site and then log into this concrete site and all the other sites we have. So I can bounce back and forth in one dashboard versus in WordPress having to log into multiple sites and things.
In those other, if we weren't using High Level, would you be able to actually reach out and contact the lead yourself, or would it be more like a bystander? Just what's the word I'm trying to say? Would it be more like I'm just observing from afar? Because if the client drops a lead or a few of them, I can't go in and be like, hey, let me field this call and then find a better client for the site.
Yeah, the way that the WordPress site is currently set up, I wish I could show you guys, but I we want to protect
For
our
sure.
other assets. So I'll just talk about it broadly. And we'll always continue to use the Katie Concrete site as a demo and explain what we're doing on that. But the forms that are built into the WordPress site are some like WP forms or something. So I have to route that lead over to a business owner and have that thing forward the message on. We get a copy of it in the email, but it's a lot of tracking to keep up with, like on a spreadsheet or something.
Mm,
With High Level, everything just goes in the form and then goes into our
conversations.
con- conversations and contacts, and it's just so much easier personally for what I want to do. Now there are ways you can embed a High Level form into a website, a WordPress website, but I really just don't want to mess with any of that. I want to just have all of our sites on High Level for now and see how it goes. And maybe I'll
Awesome.
make another decision. Maybe that'll, if this site crashes after doing that, I'll tell you guys and I won't do that again. But I think it's worth the
It'll be
risk
a
for this
good
one.
video, though.
Exactly.
All
So,
right.
so we're excited about the possibilities of this and just in general, what we're doing here is trying to build a little digital empire of sites because if you can basically have a rental property for as little as 200 bucks or even on our first one, our Katie Concrete site, I think the most we put into that was 20 or 30 bucks. That was for the domain and for the phone number. That's a great return on investment if we can get this thing rented out in a couple months for 1,000 bucks a month, 1,500 bucks a month. What some people do too is a weekly rental because a lot of these contractors get paid lump sums throughout the month. So it's like 300 bucks a week or something. And that's even less risk for you because you can get the 300 bucks and then they get that week's worth of leads. If they don't pay the next week, then you have a little time to find somebody and you're not out what you were expecting $1,500 and then you get nothing because they didn't pay. It's a different way to look at it, a different way to mitigate your risk there too. So that is that. Finally, I just wanted to let you guys know that we have, let me get this site pulled up here. We have totally revamped our free SAS
Yes.
class for you guys. So it's a 3+ hour free course. There's no charge or anything like that. If you go to freesasclass.com, you'll land on this page. Just put your name and email in, and then you'll go to the landing page. And that is a free 3+ hour video that Juanita and I spent several days working on and editing and cutting down to make it the most impactful. And basically, it's an A to Z course on how to start from scratch with High Level. Literally, we get our own account from zero and build it up to something that you can start collecting payments. And we talk about how to get actual deals from different business owners, how to get them to start paying you, different business opportunities in that High Level software that you can do instantly. So it's a really cool course. So go to freesasclass.com to access this.
Do they also, get access to that by going to GHL free?
So they'll get, yes. So if you go to ghlfree.com, this is bringing you directly to the free trial of High Level. So you can go here, start a free trial, and then you'll get the same video there, which will walk you through setting it up.
Awesome.
So great question. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is what I wanted to cover today. Just the big idea of rank and rent, what our progress is so far. We had a comment literally this morning as we were preparing for this video saying we want an update. So here's your update. Basically, we are getting some traffic. We have a couple leads. We've reached out to a few business owners. It's starting to work, which is encouraging. And now we've expanded that to buying another site and potentially a couple sites that we're going to transfer over to High Level and just hopefully build a big digital empire of these things.
So questions, because I think if I'm watching this and thinking about doing this, let's talk about a little bit about fielding those first calls because I was in the school of thought of like, why should we even do that? Like, we don't know anything about concrete. It's all about speed to lead. Let's just find somebody real quick and then hand it off to them. But I think Jason was more in the line of thinking of like, well, I want to talk to somebody and understand what they're looking for so that I can better communicate to the concrete business, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why. If I just send an email to somebody and say, "Hey, here's Susan Smith and she needs some concrete work. Can you give her a call?" I have no idea what she wanted, what if the guy is even going to call her. Like all that stuff is up in the air versus if I have control of the lead, I know at least the baseline of what Susan wants, stamped concrete or whatever. Number one, that gives me insight as to what other pages I might want to build out on our site. But
Mm,
number two, I can have a lot more power saying, "Hey, Joe, the contractor, Susan wants stamped concrete for her HOA. She's ready right now. I'm going to send her over to you." It just feels like a better quality transfer than here's some random person. I don't know what they want. Joe, why don't you
right.
give her a call? And he's like, maybe I'll do it later. But
Yeah,
just it feels more powerful to do it that way, in
right.
my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. And we might even come to a point where we're, for the first few leads, we're live transferring. Like I'm getting Susan on the phone. I'm saying, "Hey, I'm going to connect you with Joe right now." And we're literally connecting Joe, making sure he answers and making sure they're talking and listen to that conversation too. That might be interesting.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
even know we could do that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and I have all the calls. Let me pull that lead up again. Had she answered, there would be a recording track here, and we would be able to record these calls and just learn for training purposes. There is a little disclaimer that says like calls monitored for training or whatever as you reach out. But what's cool is you can not only make calls with High Level through their app on the phone or right here on the desktop, but you can also record those calls. And if you get inbound calls and voicemails left, you can record those too. Now, to take that a step further, I can say we get a business owner that ultimately starts renting this site out. We can hear all the calls that are called into our tracking number and then forwarded over to Joe, the concrete guy. We can hear those calls. So we can see, oh, wow, Joe's getting like a ton of quality business here. We can go and tap into those things. If Joe, we talk to Joe and he's like, "I got to stop. I got to get these leads for less because all these leads suck." And I say, "Joe, I listened to several of these calls. You got 15 strong leads this month. I'm sure that's $50,000 worth of work.
Mm,
You can at least have some ammunition there to because you actually know what's going on."
right.
So really cool stuff.
Okay. And is this legal in all 50 states or
Yeah. So what part do you legally mean the tracking of the phone calls?
recording the calls? Yeah.
Yeah. So at the as someone calls that number, there is a little whisper message that says all calls recorded for quality and training purposes or something. There's a little whisper message you can turn on to make sure that disclaimer is provided.
Mm.
And you also tell Joe that all the calls are recorded and you're going to forward him the recorded calls as well so that he knows that part.
And is it an actual whisper?
I don't know. It's like all calls are
That would
recorded.
be cool and creepy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited about this. Hopefully, you guys are too. Comment your questions below. We'll keep making these types of videos. This is more of the direction that I think a lot of our content is going to go. Is this? We definitely started our business with getting clients for our SaaS, and we still have people that pay us every month for that, which is great. But I like to also spread our risk with things that we actually own and control and don't have to have clients be dependent on clients. So as you get more comfortable with high level, you might want to diversify and try some of this out. Just build one site. It took us a day or two to really get this thing fully built and just see if it works. See if you like it. If you do, then follow more of our content to see if you want to keep doing this. And you can do this on even the 297 per month plan with high level because you're not trying to set up login accounts and things for people. You're just literally building separate sub accounts for each digital property that you have.
So, that being said, I think it's important to note that the client that you get for these sites, right, the concrete business, they never have to log in or use high level. They're never
Correct. Yeah.
going
And
to log into the website even, right?
yeah, you don't wanna give them access to
Right.
that, unless now what it could turn into, and which is a great point, is it could turn into they're renting your site and they have an existing site that's not doing them any justice. You say, "Hey, for an additional $500 a month, we can turn your current site into a lead generation machine too and put a chat bot on it and a whatever," and that might turn into a software client for you.
Okay. And so that being said, like what if we wanted to give that client access to missed call text back and things like that? Would
Mhm.
that be connected to this site?
No, so we would set that up as their own sub account, just as if they were a SaaS client without any of this. So they're two different properties. The phone can still ring, like our tracking number can ring to them, and their existing sub account that we set up for them, we'd set up a new tracking number, and that number would ring to them as well.
Okay, so then does that mean, let's say that we just have their number linked, right, to our site, and we want to give them missed call text back, and
Mhm.
that's something that comes with this site or the lead generating service, right? Do we just connect that? Is that something happening on our end, or we need to connect their number to that?
So it's just based on tracking numbers. So we have this account, which is the Katie Concrete service.
Mhm.
So we go into phone numbers. We would put the missed call text back for that number that people are calling. Let me pull it up here.
Into our account?
Yeah. So into this particular sub account for Katie Concrete is
Okay.
one missed call text back scenario. So
So
anybody
it
that
would
calls
be
this number
us technically giving them the missed call text back saying, "Hey, we missed you. How can we help?"
on this site, yeah. And then if they wanted their own, like Bob's Concrete site, and that we would set up a new sub account for Bob's concrete service. And
Mm,
so he would have two different accounts. He'd have one that he could log into that was all his site, just like a regular SaaS customer. And we
mm.
could also then set up a tracking number for Bob's concrete site and get another missed call text back system going for his website.
So is
So he'd
that
have his
something that we
website.
would charge, separately for, or what's
Yep.
best? What's the best practice for us as the owners? Would we prefer to have the missed call text back linked to our rented site, but that would require us to be the ones to communicate back and forth, right, on behalf of the client?
I see what you're saying. I missed that point. So you're saying
Okay.
who does the responding back and forth? Yeah, good point. So in that case, what we could do, it would either be us doing that, or we could set up a chat bot that would do the chat back and forth, and then ultimately tell Bob to give them a call and give them all the details.
But we don't really want to do that, right? Like if Bob, let's say Bob is, we want to set him up for success. We own this website. We charge $1,000. And on top of that, we say, we're also going to give you missed call text back capabilities, maybe with the chatbot. But we just want Bob to take care of all of that.
Yeah, ideally, what would happen is we just forward Bob the message saying, "Hey, you just missed a call from this phone number. Give them a call immediately. It's a new lead or whatever." So we don't have to get into the missed call text back side of it. Would be the most hands off version of that.
Okay. But it would make it the whole service and the website even more valuable if we
Mhm.
just gave him, if we empowered him with that, right? Because if he doesn't pay his rent, then obviously, like, all of that can go away.
Yeah, and we could even, like, hide the website option if he did, for some reason, have access to this, where he could not access the website, so he couldn't copy anything or delete anything or whatever. So, all that is figure outable. You raised some good points that I hadn't thought of.
Well,
Um,
yeah, but you're talking more so about like protecting him from being able to get into the account But I'm thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we could set him up with missed call text back that would go straight to his and he could chat with the prospect through his phone. We could set all of that up for him. He'll never have to log into his account, right? It's just that with our website also comes on our end a sub account that we've created. He's never gone into high level. He doesn't even know what that is. You know what I mean? He's just receiving the service.
Yeah, it's just the only way that he'd be able to communicate with those leads is if he had at least the Lead Connector app on his phone, which would be fine because he wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
access websites or things. So he'd still
Right.
see those leads there. And then if for some
Mhm.
reason he stopped paying, we just turn off his access, delete his user account on there.
Yeah.
And so that would be a way to do it. So that's a good
Yeah.
idea. I didn't think about that.
You're welcome.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So
Awesome.
I think these are great business ideas. Again, we're going to keep learning about this and hopefully build a big digital empire. And then our other plan is to put a lot of this into physical real estate. So we're going to take the money that we make from this, buy physical real estate, have a pretty diversified portfolio of stuff here, most of it leveraging high level in one way or another, and keep growing. So if you guys want to check this thing out, you haven't signed up for a trial yet, go to ghlfree.com if you just want to jump in and get a free trial, or go to freesasclass.com if you want to go through the whole journey, get the video to start with, and then you'll still get a link to this free SAS class after you do that.
Yeah,
And
sorry we
other
don't
than
have
that,
a free SAS class label made,
I forgot.
or
Yeah.
else I would have put that one up there, but this does the same trick. It can take you there. You can have access, and it's also on our YouTube channel. You should definitely watch it. Jason did a great job, and it literally is step by step by step, as well as our rank and rent websites, starting with part 1. I think there's like 5 of them, and it's from Genesis. It's like, okay, we're doing this, we're just going step by step. And it's one of our most popular videos. So if for some reason you are catching this video and you've never seen those, it's definitely worth the watch. And
Yeah, and it's a long video. There's no surprise to that, but it is literally if you're like, I just don't have anyone to help me, we literally started from scratch and went all the way through to building it with no steps left out. So you can have a free tool, you don't have to pay for anything. Even the high level is free to for 30 days. So you could literally have a business up and running with that video and be off and running. So
yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching and continuing to comment. And we really appreciate your subscription and just being a part of the community as well. So thanks so much. And we will
awesome.
see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.